Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode, what 51? 52. A solid year of Vaporware Podcast with your boys, Rest Pass, Peach, and Walt. Peach, how are you celebrating this year of Vaporware Podcast? Exactly. Peach isn't here. We're recording in the morning as usual, and so that was my joke of the day. Rest Pass, how are you today?
I'm so excited to hear Cha Boys again.
Cha Boys? I mean, did I say it again?
Yeah. Last week you said your boys.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if
you were very professional last week, and I didn't like it.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm trying to bring the quality of the show up a little bit. Oh man, how are you? But you are good. Did I say Cha Boys this morning? It was less than.
You did say Cha Boys this morning. Okay. And, I'm amazing.
That is great
I'm
to
here
hear.
With you, Walt, so I'm amazing.
Oh, man, that's... Wow. This is awkward now. Alrighty.
It's more awkward that you have no lights on right now.
Because it's still early in the morning, and
I'm sitting in the dark.
I'm trying to sleep during this episode. Oh, man. So, WrestleMania season is upon us. I mean, it's really been upon us, since the Rumble. But... we're really getting into the thick of it. And you had an idea for a topic this week that was pretty interesting, and it ties into kind of this current WrestleMania card, which I'm assuming is where you got the idea from.
Yeah, a little bit. And they're running the Kurt Angle storyline. Obviously fits in nicely with this, too. Unfortunately, we're recording on Tuesday morning, or Wednesday morning, wow.
Yeah.
We were supposed to record on Tuesday, but either way, on Monday, whether or not that's the actual opponent of Kurt Angle is already announced.
Oh, God.
But I still have him on here because in my mind, this is a perfect world opponent, not, who I think WWE will feed us. So I'm more coming out with that.
So real fast, though, because so the idea for the topic is, as wrestlers get older, who do you want to see kind of their last match with?
Yeah, and I'm picturing, at least for most of these guys, that last match to be at WrestleMania. So, yeah, I don't know if you have a list of guys. Well,
I had something that
people who listen to this week after week know that we are super duper prepared, and we always cross-reference each other's notes before the show.
Yes.
That I have to literally ask him right now. I don't know how he did this. But I have about 12 guys on my list.
Well, I was just pulling up something, just some interesting wrestlers' last matches.
Okay, so you're going on the complete.
Yeah. But also, I did want to talk about the Kurt Angle thing. Because, Jesus Christ, this is a letdown.
Well, I was going to start off with him on my first one anyway.
Okay, good. So, but yeah. I understand what they're trying to do for the storyline.
Yeah, to have somebody's, it sucks. It sucks because part of me feels like they knew this was going to be his last match, and they tried to build this up over months about the power struggle. Like, it was known that it was going to be Corbin and Angle months ago. I have a weird feeling that this has been planned. And they tried to make that storyline a little bit bigger deal than what it actually ended up being.
Yeah.
And the problem with Raw in general, honestly, is Baron Corbin was the deputy commissioner, whatever the hell he was.
I think so.
He was that, but then he was also a part of a 3 and 4 man group at different times. It just seems so random. His spot on the show is so random, just like Bobby Lashley, just like Drew McIntyre. It's so random what they've been doing.
I want to say something, too, just with Corbin. I don't mind him. I like him.
No, I don't.
He could be a good character for what he needs to be.
Yeah, I picture him as, I think he has the potential to be a Kane-level wrestler. He can be that beast when you need him to, that guy that's actually going to challenge Roman Reigns because he's a monster. But really he falls in that that random tag team partner mid-level,
Yeah.
mid-Carter guy, which is a fine spot if you can find that niche. I mean, Kane and Big Show were two guys that kind of fell into that spot most of their WWE career, where randomly they just became this powerhouse that's competing for a title because they need somebody to. And for the most part, they're just recycling small tag team partners for them.
Yeah, and like I liked Corbin, I liked him in NXT a lot. Listen, I was excited when he debuted when we were at Mania because he was in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal when he won, and I was like, this is like, I thought it was a good, like, they were like, oh wow, like they're really gonna push this guy, he's really gonna do, and then he just fell flat. So the idea that it's just the way the storyline is with Corbin now, I was just like, it's terrible. Like, John Cena is the only right answer for this.
Yeah, I have two guys. I know some people want the Undertaker. I think that would have been an awful match.
That would have been terrible.
Don't think that. But I have two guys. Actually, for everybody on here, I have two guys other than two guys. But this one, I had two guys, and Cena is by far the perfect answer to this.
Yes, exactly.
It makes the most sense. I don't understand why it's not happening, and part of me still thinks that it might.
I think the reason why
they don't need a build for it.
I don't think
they really don't.
The reason why it's not happening is because you would then have a really stacked card of like old versus old wrestlers. Look at your card now. I got Triple H, Batista, AJ Styles and Randy Orton, even Shane McMahon and The Miz. Like, those are some of your marquee matches, and not really like a lot of like newer guys or anything like that. So at least like what they're trying to do here, at least I think, is try to give one of these newer guys. I know you say Baron Corbin's a newer guy, even though he's been in it here for like 3-4 years or something like that. At least give him a good match. Like, he's getting the Kurt Angle match.
Yeah,
and
I can understand it, and that's where my second guy comes in. And it's not that he's a younger guy, but he's a full-time worker, where Cena's not.
Oh, let me try to guess.
Guess.
Give any TNA relation?
Well, that would give it away if I told you that.
Okay, so that's a yes. Was it not? Is it Joe?
Yeah, he had a pretty good feud with Joe in TNA, and fans would kind of understand it. You know, they could make reference to, you know, in that old company, like, not really, because they don't really reference TNA like they do ROH.
No.
And Japan and stuff like that. You know, they don't really mention that as much. But it's a built-in storyline already. You know, that when they feuded was the time that people were actually watching TNA, because Kurt Angle had went there, and it was such like a new thing. So if you weren't going to go to Cena route, I thought the Joe route would have been a nice touch. And then if you have Kurt Angle lose, you kind of put Joe over a little bit as the guy that, you know, made Kurt Angle tap out at WrestleMania or some shit. You know, I have a hard time believing they're going to have Corbin win this match, and that's
And that's where it sucks. Like, that's where John Cena would be perfect, because you could have John Cena win or lose there. You could have Kurt Angle win or lose, and it doesn't matter. Either one would be an acceptable answer. There is no way I want to have Kurt Angle's career, and also this is probably not going to be his last match.
No.
Nah, I highly doubt that. But there's no way I want my last match against Kurt Angle to be Baron Corbin. Samoa Joe,
be his last WrestleMania match, though.
Yeah, Samoa Joe, I'm more fine with, just because like he's a veteran of this industry. He's new to WWE, and like he is someone that has already kind of earned to get that rub from beating Kurt Angle in his last match.
Right, and that's the thing, is it falls into that same thing where Corbin needs to win it.
Yes.
Right? He needs to win it. But I can't see him winning it.
Yeah,
it's almost the complete opposite of I could see Cena winning it or I could see Angle winning it. I could see Joe winning it or I could see Angle winning it. I could see, because Joe could take that hit of the loss to Kurt Angle. If Baron Corbin loses to an older, slow-moving Kurt Angle at WrestleMania, and I don't care if it's WrestleMania, I don't care if it's his last match, if Corbin loses that match, what has he built up in any credit to, like, make him recover from it?
Nothing.
But then you have him win it, and it's like, well, why'd you just promote Kurt Angle's last match and have Corbin beat him? Like,
It could have been a really good feel-good match. Like, but they just, and I'm torn, and here's where I'm also annoyed about it too, and I'm annoyed at myself by it, is they're doing the right thing, I think, by trying to give, like, a up-and-comer guy, like, a rub from this match, instead of just feeding you, like, going back, like, because, listen, I've complained about it, we all complain about it, like, oh, you just go to the veterans, you never bring up new guys, you never promote new guys, especially on WrestleMania. Well, now they're doing that, and it's like, why are you doing this?
Well, I think it's the
person
that they're giving it to.
Huh?
It's the person they're giving it to.
Oh, yeah,
I don't mind it being if they had built up Corbin recently, if Corbin had been, on some type of a roll, they could have built this up over the last couple of months if they really wanted to, where Corbin just couldn't beat Kurt Angle 1-on-1. And he just couldn't beat him. Kurt Angle was losing to everybody else, but Corbin just for some reason could not beat Kurt Angle. Corbin was winning other matches, he just couldn't beat Kurt Angle. And then that build up to at WrestleMania where Corbin's like, I'll retire if you beat me one more time, I want your WrestleMania. Even with all this other stuff happening, there'd be at least a little bit of excitement for this match. It just seemed like they took the guy that he had the most recent storyline with and said, all right, here you go.
Yeah, like, and especially with the way Angle's promoting it. He's like, this is my retirement that they're letting me pick.
Yeah.
And it's on, like, the Ric Flair retirement match. Ric Flair was like, I'm going to go until I lose, and, I want to show that I'm still the best, so I'm going to fight the best at WrestleMania, and fought Shawn Michaels. I don't know. Corbin should have had the Reigns match, if anything, because that's a loss he could take. And then it's a feel-good moment for Reigns. But right now, it looks like Reigns is probably going to get Drew McIntyre, which sucks because Drew McIntyre can't afford the loss, I don't think. So we'll get into.
I think if you flip-flop those matches, it would make a whole hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah,
but if you had McIntyre, Angle, and you had Corbin, Reigns, I think it makes a hell of a lot more sense.
So either way. Disappointing final WrestleMania match for Kurt Angle if it stays on the books.
Yeah.
But please bring up your wrestlers since you are always more well prepared than I am.
Okay. Well, I will connect it to this, and I'll go with John Cena.
Who should John Cena's last match at WrestleMania be?
Yeah.
It might be The Undertaker. Remember,
Cena, or you mean you might not see him again since last?
Cena might not have. Cena does not have a match at WrestleMania this year, which honestly I'm very surprised with.
That's to say that this Kurt Angle thing doesn't turn into one.
Yeah, but
that's the only reason why I think there's a possibility, because you don't need a whole lot of build.
No.
Corbin's seems random, like a random placeholder, and sometimes when it seems like it is. So, I'm not that I think it's going to be Cena's last match. Cena's going to get the whole build like all these other guys get. Now, I have two guys for him. I think the more obvious one is Roman Reigns.
Yes, their first match was very disappointing. I think because it was at like a Fastlane or some dumbass pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I think it's
the passing the torch, the Rock Hogan. It makes a whole lot of sense.
Yes.
Reigns is going to lead the company and Cena's leaving kind of thing. It makes sense. A lot of this stuff I have on here, one of them makes sense. The other one makes a little bit of sense, but I think Roman Reigns is the obvious one for whenever Cena hangs it up. Unless that's if Reigns is still an active wrestler.
Yeah.
Cena might outlast Reigns.
Who's your other one?
Kevin Owens. It's purely personal.
Okay. See,
I love the fact that he came out so dominant against Cena, and I would love to see him kind of go at him again.
See, I was a big fan of like another AJ Styles match.
Okay.
Because I think like their storylines were so well like interwoven together. Like Styles was the head of the Indies essentially. Cena's like, and they were the head, especially because you're not getting Punk. It would have been Punk hands down for me, but he's not coming back to wrestle. So realistically, in there now, it would be Styles. But I'm trying to think of like in the indie scene, like the first match actually would probably be Omega, honestly. Like if Omega were to come to WWE within that first year and it be Cena's last year, Omega versus Cena, I think it would tear the house down. I think that match would be absolutely incredible because, listen, Cena can step up his matches when he has to, especially again, we saw with Styles. Like, his matches with Styles were incredible. And that's not and listen, the thing where you can say, oh, was AJ Styles carrying that match? Well, he also had incredible matches with Owens and CM Punk and I forget who else. Daniel Bryan. All these guys, it's like, he's got to be
not being 100% carried by all of these.
He has to be doing something right if he's consistently having good matches with these guys. Yeah. I think Kenny Omega would be a great, like if Omega were to come to WWE and like that would be his first year and it would be like you could build it versus Cena versus Omega, kind of that similar style that you kind of built Styles versus Cena, but then just have that as your premier match at WrestleMania.
Right.
Just because
I kind of went down the road a little bit of guys currently on the roster, but no, I think that probably fits better than even Owens.
It's a good storyline of your main indie darling versus the corporate the head of the corporate made professional wrestler.
Yeah, and you bring him in, and they say, "Oh yeah, he's the guy that's going to save WWE," and John Cena is the last WWE face, and it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. Yeah. That actually gave me another answer for one of my other guys later on. Now that I'm thinking outside of WWE, but
so here's some fun questions. Here's just a random question to break it up a little bit. Austin's last match. Do you remember what it was?
At WrestleMania or his last match in general?
We'll go both.
I couldn't tell you.
It was at WrestleMania against The Rock. It was 19.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is just really cool to like still think about. Like that's where Austin decided to hang up, and he's the only one that's kind of held true to it. Now it might be because of his neck, but everyone else.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think the injury more than anything, because even like The Rock got pulled away from movies, he didn't get pulled away because he couldn't physically do it anymore. Yeah,
and The Rock's last WrestleMania match was a classic, perfect opponent for The Rock.
I know, Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famer Eric Rowan.
Yes, in 8 seconds. Oh man!
Well, you know what? That's a nice transition, Walt. I'll go to my next one.
The Rock?
The Rock's last official match. And again, I'm looking at this being their last in a dream world scenario, which I know most of these guys would never have their last match anytime soon. But I'm thinking these guys could realistically have their last match in, say, the next 3 years. The Rock is the next one. I have a nice youngster that I think would fit perfectly with him, but I'm going to go with the other one, and I'll go The Miz.
I was going to just say The Miz, too, because, I have a hard time saying The Miz, because, no offense to The Miz is not a real actor yet.
No, he's not, but I look at him, I could look at him against The Rock, and he could basically, you have that whole built-in storyline from him, Cena, and The Rock. You know, kind of like where Punk fit in nicely with The Rock, because he was like I was the champion. You forgot about me. You just went past me. They already had you headline for WrestleMania when I was the champion. The Miz kind of has a little bit too. Like, you had to upstage me at WrestleMania. You had to come out, and I know The Rock essentially helped the Miz win, but that's kind of built in a little bit, where you kind of already have that past between them. That you really, I don't, have we even seen The Rock and the Miz wrestle? Like, officially a one-on-one match? I don't know that we have.
No.
So I don't know that we have. If we have, it wasn't anything to remember.
My issue with the Miz is, like, it makes sense because they're both the Hollywood guys.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I could see it because I don't think I don't think the Miz can hang with The Rock, and I just to where it would be completely one sided. Now this is the thing, like, today, the Miz is a better talker than The Rock is, because The Rock just every time he comes back, he just falls on the same. And I feel like I'm just spitting out exactly what Punk said years ago. He does the same catchphrases and doesn't really bring anything new or exciting to his promos anymore. So there's not that level of depth. I still have yet to watch it, but I heard The Miz gave a phenomenal promo last night on SmackDown, basically talking about Shane McMahon. And The Miz can do that now, but he just wouldn't be able to hang with The Rock because it would fall back to childish name calling essentially, and The Miz would get buried, and then it would just be completely one sided. It wouldn't be a good match, I don't think. So
and that's what I guess I'm looking at it too. Is you need The Rock's going to come back as the baby face,
yes,
and The Miz plays that whiny heel, look at me, not you kind of role. And I think I was thinking almost the opposite, that The Miz's talking ability might pull out something better of The Rock. Because when The Rock and Cena went through their whole thing, although, some of the stuff was hilarious, it was The Rock doing the stuff we've seen from The Rock for years, and then Cena pulling out old gangster raps that we've seen before from him too. And some of it was good, and I understood it, and Cena kept up with them and all that, with the childish remarks back and forth. But I also I could see The Miz just sitting there, just doing that annoying, childish, here's the fake difference, laughing at him while he's sitting there saying stuff. I don't know.
Here's the difference between Cena and The Miz. Cena caught the Rock with a promo written on his arm and called him out for it in his promo twice. Once in the gangster rap, and I think right when he saw it on his arm. The Miz would not do that. And that's where I think Cena stepped up his game to where Cena went all out. I don't know if The Miz would go to that level of The Rock to push over the show. And that's where I don't...
And I tend to disagree purely because... this could make sense, it might not, but I think The Miz, the way he feels about wrestling in general... I just see him stepping it up. Almost being a little kid out there against The Rock. You know what I mean? Any fan's dream to be out there against The Rock. Not to get too far off of it, I don't have any female wrestlers on here, so this is the female wrestler part of the show. But everything Rousey's doing right now, she's loving. She is loving this. As a lifelong wrestling fan, she is loving what she's doing right now. She has everybody eating out of the palm of her hands, and people don't realize it. People want her to go away so bad right now,
and it's perfect. I love it.
She is feeding in to every fan's fear of what she was going to be when she got here, and she's doing it perfectly. And this sets us up for what we've been waiting for, because a heel Rousey fits perfectly with the other three heels that are sitting down in NXT right now. The heel Rousey and on the fence Charlotte Flair. makes things a hell of a lot easier to get that four horsewomen, and it's dude, they are doing it perfect. I feel like that rumor of her retiring after WrestleMania was done to lead into this, to get a bigger reaction when she finally did turn. Yeah. I think this was all done from the beginning on purpose to get people pissed at her even more, because before it was, she's not Becky, so we don't want her. Then once that rumor came out, it was like, oh, fuck her. She's going to leave after WrestleMania. Now she's Brock Lesnar. You know? We hate Brock Lesnar for the same reason. Not realizing that Rousey's still wrestling house shows. She's still showing up every Monday and wrestling most Mondays. Like, the fans don't care about that because they're thinking, she's leaving at WrestleMania. Like, isn't it kind of funny when you think there are two people rumored to be leaving at WrestleMania, right?
Who's this?
Ronda Rousey and Dean Ambrose.
Oh, okay, yes.
I don't see Dean Ambrose getting the same shit that Rousey, and I get it. Rousey hasn't been there as long. I understand it. But I don't see Ambrose getting shit for, he's going to leave WWE. Why can't he just stay? Blah, 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 blah. Well, when Rousey's thing was she was going to go away to have a family. Not she was going to go back to the UFC. She literally said, I want to have a baby. You know what I mean? Like, that was the rumor that came out, was that she wanted to start a family. And people were giving her shit for it. It's not like she said, I'm going back to the UFC. I can get more money doing acting instead of this bullshit. I'm leaving. That wasn't what came out at all. But people gave her way more shit for it than they probably should have. I feel like it was done purposely.
That's a whole other topic that we can get on.
I know. That's why I said I don't want to get too... I wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit just because I think it's been done masterfully. And the funny thing is, they're doing almost the same storyline with the men's and the women. Almost the same fucking thing. And don't they feel different in a way?
They do.
It's so funny. It's so funny, the Kofi and Becky thing, they feel so different, and it's almost the exact same thing. And I actually read somewhere where somebody was complaining, like saying, you're pissing off the fans too much by having Rousey calling wrestling fake, by having Becky. And I'm thinking, can you really piss the fans off too much? Like, you're going to watch WrestleMania. You're probably going to watch Kofi and Becky both win the titles at WrestleMania. Like, and somebody was like, they can't keep down in Kofi like this. The way they did it's fucked up. And I'm thinking, where was these rallies of people for Kofi as the heavyweight champion before all this happened? You know what I mean? Like, the storyline's what's bringing this out. People weren't chanting for Kofi Kingston to be champion even before that. What was it? The
gauntlet
match or whatever.
Not the one last night. It was the gauntlet match for
the very first one.
The last entrant into the
Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
when he replaced
Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, it wasn't until he put on a good show there, and that it was rumored that everybody loved it in the back, that people started jumping on the train that he should be champion now. People weren't calling for that right before it. So for them to say, they're fucking with the fans and they're pissing people off, they gave you this.
Well, I think with Kofi, they've always... fans have been always saying Kofi should be champion at some point. And just the time... It was just like, it's never going to make sense or anything. But then, like, this time, it's like, oh, wow, Kofi had a great showing right before WrestleMania. And then it's like, maybe we actually get this. I don't know, but
yeah.
Let's.
I know a lot of this could be talked about when it comes to WrestleMania, but
it's WrestleMania season, though. This is where we get going down these roads. Who's the other one you had for The Rock? Because somehow we got into Kofi Kingston.
I thought I was actually going to go on to the next one. Velveteen.
I would say Ricochet. I would like to see if we're going young because Ricochet has the what's he call it? The people's like moonsault or something like that.
See, I was thinking Velveteen because I know The Rock's going to tear anybody apart. He just is.
Yes,
and he has a lot of material to tear Velveteen apart with.
Yes,
but I think because the aura that surrounds Velveteen, I could see him just making it so awkward that it's funny, if it makes sense. Like, The Rock just starts saying, like, really gay sounding things.
That I was gonna say,
and I see Velveteen just pushing it a little bit closer to him, and almost like the Aleister Black, where no. Okay, I see that face. I'm going to explain that the Velveteen Black, like, say my name.
Okay.
Thing.
Okay.
I'm talking about the way Velveteen treated Aleister Black, and I could see him doing it to The Rock. Almost making it very, very obvious that what he's doing is meant to come off, as non-straight as possible. And
see that you can't touch that. This isn't the Attitude Era. Like, here's the thing with The Rock. The Rock, if he gets in a flow, and he's going to go very Attitude Era. I think is the best way to describe this.
Yeah.
And there is going to be repercussions on what, like, Velveteen Dream is a very interesting character to me because it's going to be interesting how they bring him up to the main roster. Just because of, again, like, you're going to have, like, even though, like, they're able, I don't know, like, they've been able to avoid it really in NXT, but I just feel like when you go against a guy like The Rock, for example, like, things like that are going to, comments are going to be made and stuff like that, and it's just going to be, like, it's not what WWE wants.
I wholeheartedly disagree, and I think that's perfect setup. And if anything is going to break The Rock out of his same sayings and stuff, and actually Velveteen would fit perfectly with some of his sayings, like almost to the point that I could see Velveteen saying, like, "Oh, you promise," and stuff like that when The Rock starts talking about the people's strudel and stuff. I could just see Velveteen pushing the limit to that to almost make it awkward, and I think that would be hilarious. And again, I could see what you're saying, and I would like to think The Rock, being who he is as far as an actor and wanting to continue to get jobs.
Yes, I
wrestling.
Yeah,
I think he would have to hold his tongue on a little bit.
Yeah,
and I think it's just as good for the WWE as it would be for his actual career outside of WWE to hold his tongue.
Yeah. That's where I'm just like, it would be. I think just with how The Rock can. Because, like, listen, he basically slut-shamed Lana when he was in Raw in Miami years ago. Yeah. And, like, I'm just like, that's what goes to my head. Like, what if he goes to that, like, on a character like this?
But as a fan, you want to see it.
I don't know.
As a fan, you wouldn't want to see Velveteen and The Rock at WrestleMania, with The Rock putting over Velveteen.
Oh, God, yes. Come on. Like, that's not a fair statement.
And that's more what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I would like this EC3, but, like, I don't know. I'm just upset with what they're doing with EC3.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's if he's still with the company.
Yeah, he sent something out after WWE wished him a happy birthday, saying catering was delicious. Thanks. So that would be a good Cena last match, I think. Because then they have when he was in NXT as what was his name? Derek Bateman.
Derek Bateman. Yeah.
Like, didn't they have like a little thing or something like that?
I don't know.
It's way too early in the morning for.
Yeah.
Pulling up that much wrestling history.
I feel like I brought too many old wrestlers on here.
I feel like I feel like I didn't prepare.
Okay, well, I have a couple big names on here, but I'm gonna run.
So let's go this. Hold on.
I'm gonna run through a couple guys real quick. Just run through them.
Okay.
I had the Big Show. I had Braun Strowman or Walter.
Yes, Braun Strowman. I think it should be Braun Strowman.
Yeah, and not. Again, not all of these guys are going to warrant their final match to be at WrestleMania, but especially these couple I'm going to talk about. But I think they do for what they've been in the business and stuff like that. It's not going to be a headliner match, which is why I kind of put Walter. Strowman, I think, fits perfectly, but let's say Big Show retires next year.
See, I wish
Strowman's probably not going to be on a mid-level match against Big Show one-on-one.
Big Show, like, his final match should have been winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I know he's already won it, but did he win it twice, actually?
I don't think so.
But
yeah, I could see that.
I think that would have been a much better fitting win for him to do it.
Then I'll go Kane, The Undertaker. I mean, it makes sense. I know it won't happen, but it makes sense. I didn't really put anybody else at X-Pac, maybe, and come back.
Bray maybe Bray Wyatt. If Undertaker wasn't there or that wasn't the match you wanted to give him, Bray Wyatt. But again, Bray Wyatt's just falling like Aleister Black.
And again, we're talking about Big Show and Kane, who might have already had their last matches,
or would you have to do Jesse the Body Ventura, Mayor versus Mayor?
Oh my God. All right. Rey Mysterio, I think there's a very obvious answer here, and it's Andrade. With the way they've been wrestling, I think if he put him out to pasture kind of thing in a retirement match or something. But then I have Ricochet, just because I would love to see Ricochet against Mysterio.
Did we? I don't know if we've seen this. No, I don't think we've seen that.
Yeah, I think that would be... And Mysterio, no offense to Big Show and Kane, but because he can still kind of go in the ring better than them two.
Yeah.
And he's still competing regularly, I think putting him in with Ricochet is not... It's not going to be as awful as maybe a Strowman Big Show match would be. Or an Undertaker Kane match would be.
Undertaker Kane would be terrible.
Yeah.
like I would honestly turn it off after the entrances.
That's why you almost wanted it to happen a couple of years ago. It's getting too far past it. And then I'll go real quick. I'll start moving on to actually describing them, and we'll go with the Hardys. I couldn't split them up. I'm going with the Hardys having their last match as a tag team match. Unless they're wrestling each other in their last match, I'm going with them in a tag team match. Now, this is where I changed my mind, where I had two guys on there, two teams. I'll go Young Bucks. I'd love to see the Young Bucks come out and have Hardy's last matches.
Did you ever see? Did you see their match, their ladder war?
I did not. We seen them wrestle live.
The Bucks?
Bucks against the Hardys, yeah.
No, I wasn't there. No, I wasn't there.
They were at House of Hardcore.
It wasn't.
That was the one you weren't at.
Yeah,
okay.
Because that was the one.
Yeah, I've seen Young Bucks against Hardys.
Yeah,
close and personal, and it was a good match.
Yeah, well, I saw the ladder war for Ring of Honor the night before the Hardys' return. I wasn't. It was on TV. I wasn't there live, but that match was really good.
Nah. I think the Hardys, honestly, their last match probably would end up having to be some type of tag team ladder match or something at WrestleMania.
Like I would want to see the Dudleys. I think just because of think the history they have. There's no other like it all depends on what this match is. Is it going to be a it feels good nostalgic fest, or is it to put a new and up and coming team like the new Hardy? Because the Young Bucks are the new Hardys, and
the funny thing is that's where I think the Young Bucks they fit somewhere in between. Because I think the Young Bucks, and honestly, I had the Usos on there because I was trying to go current roster.
Yep.
And I had the Usos on there. As again, I always look at it as who will it benefit to be able to walk around and say, I retired this team? I'm not looking at it as the Kurt Angle storyline where they're coming out and saying, who do we want to wrestle our last match? I'm looking at, like, who does it make sense to put them in a match where the Usos can benefit from saying, we retired the Hardys. We're the reason the Hardys aren't here anymore. But the fanboy in me has DIY.
That's a good clash of styles because it's a new up and coming team with that old school wrestling mentality. Their slogan, "No flips, just fists," or I forget. I think that's what it was. Works well with the Hardys.
Them or the Revival?
Huh? Oh God,
You're talking about the Revival.
I am talking about the Revival. Shit.
No, DIY, Ciampa and Gargano.
Yeah, I know. I would go with the Revival
because both Hardys have had like interesting storylines as solo workers.
Yes,
and now Gargano and Ciampa have had interesting storylines as solo workers. I think it would be an interesting mix to watch them as tag teams against each other on a big stage. The fans would love it. But yeah, the Revival had crossed my mind, but I think DIY, especially because I don't think they're going to actually be a tag team on the main roster. It doesn't make sense to have them as a tag team. So it would be a nice little nod to them being former tag team partners. I know we got to see it more often now, but or recently, but I thought that would have been an interesting mix.
Yeah, I would go with the Revival since I don't know wrestling teams anymore.
You said it. I'm like, they can all kind of hang, but
I heard you say
concept.
DIY, and I just stuck Revival in there immediately. My reason would be the Revival if you're looking at like current kind of teams. Yeah, the Young Bucks would make the most sense, but that's just such a far stretch. But it's also we've seen this before. Like you've seen it in person.
Yeah,
I've seen it at Ring of Honor, but they can do it.
Yeah, and it's no different than I said Andrade against Mysterio. We've seen it how many times already, but I still would love to see it as a WrestleMania match to see if they can up what they've already done. And we haven't seen Young Bucks and Hardys in a WWE ring, not on the grandest stage of them all. So you put a TLC match at WrestleMania, and
oh my God,
it'd be interesting.
So I'm just online and I'm reading something on our WWE on Reddit, and they screenshotted a comment. This is to Kurt Angle, in response to Kurt Angle, Baron Corbin, to go back to that. If you and Baron Corbin wrestled in my driveway, I still wouldn't come to watch it.
I really hope that this was set up because I feel like WWE has been like toying with fans' heartstrings recently.
Yes,
and you know how we've all, and I've been guilty of it too, as fans, we've come to the point that when they start swerving us, it ends up not being a swerve. Like, we are fucking convinced that they are swerving us only for them to give us that shittier product that we thought that they were just swerving us with.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like they've done it to fans too much that now people are just like, dude, fuck you. No. I'm going to start believing it because you have not given me other reasons to not believe that what's in front of my face is going to stay in front of my face. And that's what this Corbin thing is. It is every inkling of my being wants to say that this is done on purpose. That's why we haven't heard Cena's match at WrestleMania. It's going to be Cena and Angle. They're just doing it to piss fans off because who is going to piss the fans off more than Corbin? You know? Who else?
That's one way to
Maybe if he would have said Jason Jordan. I don't know if that, and even that would have been a more interesting,
a father-son matchup. Yeah, that would have been.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know that there was anybody else they could have said.
The Chad Gable match this past week on Raw was pretty good.
But that's like, who else would have gotten the fans that angry?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope Charlie Haas shows up on Monday Night Raw and wrestles them.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
This next Raw. I'm keeping my he'll end up wrestling Cena at Raw. They'll give that match. We've become so almost like jaded as fans to the point that when something like this that I think so obviously is swerve, and I'm trying to not think that they're going to give us Corbin an Angle, but am I going to be surprised if Corbin wrestles Angle? Absolutely not.
Oh no, that's the match. Sucks. That's the match.
You're convinced it is?
Yeah, it's not even a convinced thing. I'm saying that's the match.
I'm going in with blinders on and thinking that it's going to be Cena.
So, all right, who else was on your little list that you made?
Okay. There's a couple I want to talk about. This one I don't care about talking about as much. Undertaker. I have Demon Balor. It's got to be Demon Balor. It can't be Finn Balor. Or Aleister Black, which I think is a little bit more obvious. Aleister Black being the one to put him out. The whole... But I think it's got to be someone demonic in some way, shape, or form. So it's got to be Demon Balor or Aleister Black.
My only thought with The Undertaker is I'm trying to find out whoever the spokesperson is for AARP. Because I like to me leave it at Cena. Like
to be honest with you, I would like to not see him wrestle again, and if he did, I would want it to be against Kane. I don't care how bad the match would be. If they both said this is their last matches together, it's almost like I said the Hardys earlier. If I heard their last match, they announced it, like this whole Kurt Angle thing, they announced it and they said, it's both of our last match, we want to wrestle each other one-on-one at WrestleMania, I'd watch it and enjoy it for what it is.
Yep.
And I think Kane and The Undertaker would be the same thing. If they just said, we want our last match to be against each other, it's both of our last matches, we're never going to wrestle again, I'd be like, okay. It'd be fucking awful. But I'd be like, okay, I understand it. Maybe Paul Bearer will show up.
Wow.
You're usually the one that makes those jokes, by the way. I beat you to it before you could say something.
Do you think they possibly are setting us up for a Demon Balor Undertaker appearance at this WrestleMania?
Why? Because
Balor has nothing on the card yet. Undertaker's not on the card yet. Like, I don't know if they're going to actually give us Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, and Lashley's been involved in so many things. So you don't see. I'm so confused on what's going on. Like, we're under the assumption a lot of these are going to be singles matches. Who the hell knows that you're not going to end up having like an Angle Reigns Ambrose against Corbin, McIntyre, and Lashley or some shit.
Yeah.
You know, you could end up with a bigger match than just singles matches. But it would be interesting. I'd almost rather them not even announce it and just find out the Undertaker's here and the Undertaker just calls out anybody, and then Balor just shows up as Demon Balor.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's almost like the Cena Undertaker thing with even less preparation because people were expecting it. You assumed it wasn't happening until you seen Cena sitting out in the crowd, and there was times we watched that show and thought,
it wasn't happening.
Maybe he's not.
Because they had Elias come out as a good, like, and that was like a perfect thing. I was just like, wow, they're not doing the Undertaker this year.
Yeah. So it would be interesting. You know, I think that's one of the few things they could do without any hype because people are going to watch it anyway, and just be like, oh my god, they're actually giving us Demon Balor against Undertaker.
Yeah, like I think Undertaker, it would have been. What was I going to say? Like, I thought Bray Wyatt was the next incarnation of The Undertaker. Not like Demon Balor. Because the way Balor, that character is, it's not Demon Balor. Yeah. But they screwed, like, Bray Wyatt, like, just didn't get that. Like, they failed on him. So, like, that would have been a great final match for The Undertaker to go against Bray Wyatt. Yes, from a nostalgic value, would have been Kane. Just because that makes the most sense. But there's a lot of people you could make the most sense. Maybe Triple H. I don't know if he's on your list, but I think this should be Batista's last match.
I had him on there originally, but I had too many guys, and I couldn't think of somebody.
I like this idea of Batista Triple H. I'm very happy it's happening because there was concern when they set this up at that 1000th SmackDown episode. And then Triple H tore his pec at the thing, and it was just like, we're not going to get the Batista match now. And then he healed up and he got better, and it's happening. And I'm very confused about this Batista match that it's actually happening.
Yeah,
because he's literally has to promote. Well, not as much. Spoiler warnings. I forget if we talked about it on here, but Endgame is coming up in April. Yeah. And technically he's not in it, but he's in it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I told you what my initial thought was. Obviously, not going that route. I was hoping for an Evolution
triple threat.
Yeah. And that's where I feel like if Batista's going to go, it should be something like that, or hell, maybe comes back and it's Orton and him. But yeah, Triple H, Orton, any combination of that makes the most sense for Batista.
Yeah, or Cena, just because.
Yeah,
like Cena would be a good one. We've only ever gotten that match like maybe once or twice.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Triple H, I have Triple H on here.
A
Do
shovel.
you have any thoughts?
A shovel.
Well, I
So
have Drew McIntyre. I think that would be an interesting build, especially with if you go back as far as the whole hand picked from Vince McMahon type thing. If they bring that shit back, where it's Triple H who's always tried to convince Vince McMahon that he's good enough, and Vince McMahon picked out McIntyre. Like, you could play on the whole family thing there.
They did it already, but Seth Rollins, his initial baby, like his first guy from NXT that he built up, that he like went the whole way. Even though we did the WrestleMania match, I think it still could possibly fit in Seth Rollins though.
Yeah, I had Seth Rollins on here and I took him off because I thought it was too obvious. I put Pete Dunne too. Just because I want to put him in a match with somebody, and I felt like this one probably made the most sense. Like, to kind of put him at, like, a next level kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because he'll eventually be on the main roster, and he'll eventually be one of the top guys. And that's one of those things where if he can kind of put Triple H out to pasture as a competitor kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I thought he made the most sense there. Since I know we're kind of running long, I'll go with Randy Orton. I only had one. It was very hard for me to think of Orton, and that's
Cena.
the reason why I kept it. See, that's the problem. I could have put Cena for about 7 guys.
I don't know who else for.
I would like to see the Ciampa that we've got in NXT.
That would be really good.
Drawn out Ciampa and Orton feud.
See, and like this is the thing too. Like, I would want to insert Edge into a lot of these. Did you have Cena? Did we talk about Cena already?
Yeah.
Who did?
I said Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then I
said AJ Styles.
I said Omega.
And Omega. You said Styles, Omega.
Yeah. Yeah, like, because Edge, I think, would also fit in good with Randy Orton as well. But, like, yeah, Randy Orton has had, or, like, hell, you could go Triple H. But Ciampa, like, if you're talking about up and coming,
I think that the intensity between the two of them, and I'm talking, like, NXT champion Ciampa.
Goldie.
Allowing him to be, the whole Goldie thing, everything. And Ciampa being the best sports entertainer, compared to wrestling the legend killer, kind of thing, and just having that kind of mix. And Orton was tough for me to put on here because I don't see Orton going away anytime soon,
which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, hell, I don't see Cena going away anytime soon. I think on this list, Cena and Orton are the two that are going to go way past the 3 years that I have in my mind. But if it were to happen soon, and Orton were to just decide to hang him up, I think a him and Ciampa feud to end his career would be awesome. Then I had Jericho, which he'll never have a last match because he'll be wrestling until he's 85.
Exactly.
But if he were to have one,
I don't know who that could be.
The recent storyline of Kevin Owens would make sense. But I'd love to see Daniel Bryan, Jericho, like, fucking Iron Man match or something like that at WrestleMania. You just put them on and just let them try to out-wrestle each other in the middle of the ring. Like, I don't know. I think that would be an interesting match. Jericho was an oddball with me, with not really trying to
because Jericho's one of those guys that he's had, like, I think all of his major rivalries, like, he can't, like, they're done.
Yeah.
Like, Edge is retired. Chyna's dead.
I think I had Gargano on here too, originally, and then I took him off. Purely because I was trying to think of a guy, because like you said, his main feud, so now it's got to be an up-and-comer type deal.
Yeah.
Thrown in that match. And I think
Shawn Michaels, he's done. I don't.
Yeah.
CM Punk.
Exactly.
There's.
Yeah, good. I looked through the whole current roster when I was doing this, and I landed on Daniel Bryan. And it wasn't a great one, but I landed on Daniel Bryan.
Well, there's that new guy in NXT. They're Dalton Castle because they couldn't sign Dalton Castle. Eric Bandwana or.
Does he just shown up?
Yeah, the guy that plays air guitar.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say him just because he could be the rocker thing. I don't know.
And then speaking of NXT, I will go to the last one I have on this list, and it's Brock Lesnar.
Did you say speaking of NXT so we could say Matt Riddle?
Yes. Yeah, I having Matt Riddle retire him after him talking about it for so long would be hilarious. But as a fanboy, the only match I want to see is Lesnar's last match is Nakamura.
Oh my god.
I want to see Lesnar Nakamura.
Goldberg again. Give me Goldberg.
I want to see Nakamura beat Lesnar at WrestleMania.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else like for Lesnar that would be like a good final match for
Gilbert.
That would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I don't. They've had him dominate so many people. If you're not giving him Reigns or Strowman,
honestly, it has to be one of those two. It could not like as much
this
as I
one
want.
Makes more sense with Strowman, to be honest with you, than the Big Show one. I think this makes the most sense with Strowman.
Lesnar with Matt Riddle. I love the idea of it just because you have two, former MMA guys, or Lesnar goes back and forth, who could never actually fight in UFC because they're in completely different weight classes. So you get this is where you can get that dream matchup from but I legitimately cannot see with the way they built him up as a character in WWE, Matt Riddle coming anywhere near close to being able to beat Brock Lesnar, especially with the guys that Lesnar's beaten, like the Daniel Bryans, the AJ Styles, the Baylors. Matt Riddle has that build, even though he has the MMA experience. There's no way that Matt Riddle would get built up so much to that point that he'd be able to touch Lesnar.
And I think that's why I put Nakamura on there a little bit, is because I think, obviously, they have to reroute the way they're going with him right now.
Yes.
But you give me what we expected out of Nakamura. If you let him kind of turn the corner first for about a whole year leading up to it.
Yes.
I think, that's why I wanted him to tease it last year. I wanted Nakamura to not tell us who he was going to go against, because I wanted that tease of him getting in Lesnar's face, of him telling Lesnar he's not scared of him, stuff like that, know. Because Lesnar beat him in New Japan, right?
Yes.
I believe. And so, it's the whole payback from New Japan, and it's the changing of the guard kind of thing and all that other stuff. And I even though body type wise, Matt Riddle probably looks like he could compete with Lesnar more than Nakamura.
You're saying he has a great body, right? You're just staring at his body. Okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure.
Yes. Other than that part, I think when they bill him correctly, he has that believability that he could beat somebody like Lesnar.
Yes.
And that's and you need somebody, and because I didn't want to go with Reigns or Strowman on this list because I thought they were too obvious. I think Nakamura would be a nice way to go out for Lesnar.
Yeah, it would have to be and you said that next 3 years thing. It would have to be Reigns or Strowman. I think legitimately are the only ones, and to me it should be Reigns. And it's something I don't want to ever see again.
Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch makes Brock Lesnar tap. Brock Lesnar quits.
I would cry. I would cry of so much excitement.
Becky Lynch makes Ronda Rousey and
There you go.
Rousey.
Take two.
Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar tap. And
in the same night.
Oh my God. There you go.
She would literally be the first intergender champion because she would be holding both belts.
You heard it here first.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I don't have much else, and I realize I have to start getting to work. These early morning recordings are not the best. I hate having to rush out of here afterwards because I want to sit here and talk more with you about wrestling.
Well, I love the fact that it's early morning because then I get to
go to sleep earlier.
No, because I still have to get the kids to school, and I gotta get my oil changed today.
Let's hear about a day in the life of Mike Respass. This will be the new podcast.
My mom just went to the emergency room yesterday, so I gotta see how she's doing. And yeah, there you go. You're all excited for the life in the day. I did not know we were going down that route. So,
but
yeah. So since I just worked all last night, I'll get a nice 3-hour sleep before I have to go to work tonight. So that's a day in the life of me.
Well, I certainly
3 hours of sleep for somebody who has seizures is a very, very nice combination.
Just pile it on.
Hey, you want people to know a day in the life of me? I'm giving it to them.
I was making a joke.
Well, I gave it.
Oh man! Alrighty.
You're welcome.
So, you have anything else you want to say? Oh man! If you made it this far, thank you.
I'm gonna say go Temple.
No, they're out. They're out already. But 2020, when we signed Mike Trout, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
So, all right. Is there anything else you want to add?
No.
We're gonna have prediction episodes coming up in the next week or so. We don't know how
we may do the way we did. What was it? SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think it was SummerSlam where we broke out Raw, SmackDown, NXT.
17-hour recording session. Well, we had different guests for that. We did the long ass one for WrestleMania last year, but was that just us? I don't think anybody else joined us for it, right?
I forget. Yeah. I think we broke it up.
It was just us and Peachy.
Yeah, we broke it up.
The NXT.
I do want to get Peachy in here though, because
for his predictions.
Well, because
I can't wait. I want to see the final results for the whole year because Peachy just missed the whole pay-per-view.
No, but I do want to get him in just because, like, with the way it looks like they're going with Kofi, like,
I know, right? He'd be so pumped. He would say 4 words instead of 2.
Oh man! Alrighty.
Peachy talks more when he's not here.
Peachy talks more when he's not here. I was talking to him on Sunday about going to the Ring of Honor New Japan show up in Madison Square Garden, so
he just wants to go to Madison Square Garden.
I know my audience, what can I say? So, alrighty. I'm gonna get a shower and go to work, and Respass, you're gonna have a lovely day.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, thank you for listening, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you next week. Later, guys.